Oh man, that's what happens when you're running the show again on your own. Oh my goodness, it's usually me doing what we're doing. But hello, anyway.
And welcome to Taking the Journey Together.
Yes,
I
yes.
am Zare,
I'm
and you are,
I'm R.
and we are still taking the journey together, and we're enjoying every moment of this journey, even though sometimes a journey can be like a roller coaster ride, but it's all about what you do with that ride. And today, we are going to be continuing our discussion on keeping your word. But before we get to that, and while he gets us set up on some other things and take care of some other issues, or well, not really issues, but things that an
House
engineer have to do
cleaning,
has to do.
house cleaning stuff.
Yes,
That's what they call
yes.
it.
I'm going to read our belief statement, and it goes like this: We are going to relate. It doesn't matter what your mother says, your father says, your children, or even what Jesus says. We are going to relate. At Taking the Journey Together, we believe in relating in a balanced manner. Balanced relationships are the ones that are entered into as friends first and lovers second, but has both aspects in each partner. And that's what we preach, teach, however you want to call it. But
And
that is,
try
I
to
was
live by.
just about to say that.
I'm just some music on, so we can have a little bit of music. How's that?
Yes.
Hold on, let's see. There you
Yeah,
go. You got a
that's
little
it.
music left.
Lovely. And so while we are getting started here, we would like to do a little bit more housekeeping. And that little bit more housekeeping has to do with we have some people who are checking in with us now.
Tell them.
And
Share.
yes, and that's the other thing that it's important right now that you share so that your friends and family and acquaintances and coworkers and anybody who you might know or think of that might be able to benefit from some of the things that we say, share with them. And we have Mr. David Banner with us again. Thank
Oh,
you.
he's
So
there.
glad
Let them know where
to
he's
have you
from.
as a regular with
Yeah,
us.
but let them know where he's from. Why don't you text us or post in the chat where you are from, where you're
Comment
calling from.
section.
Yes, exact comment section. Trying to find out where people are from.
And in the meantime, we would
Mhm.
love to have some of the rest of you share,
Yes,
please,
yes.
please. And even if you are with, your partner is not with you at that particular time because of business or work or whatever, you can always watch it together and watch 2 or 3 times because you might miss something the first time. Notice that's a shameless plug. Watch us 2 or 3 times. But we're still there, still saying what is necessary for today. And I'm kind of rambling here because I'm trying to give him a chance to get finished with what he's doing.
You're doing a good job. You're rambling well. I think she's a good rambler, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, right. So anyway, yes. So today we're going to be talking about keeping your word, how to deal with people who don't do what they say. And most of us can relate to that because at some point in time we have been in a situation where we didn't do what we had said that we were going to do, whether it was something came up legitimately that kept you from doing it, whether it was you forgot or you just decided, I'm not feeling this anymore. I don't want to do it. Whatever the situation is, you have been in a position where you didn't keep your word. But what we're talking about is not so much of those onesie twosie situations, but when you're in a relationship and it becomes an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Something that happens again and again, consistently. Thank you.
Some people would turn and say when someone doesn't keep their word, you might as well say they are a prolific liar.
Yes.
I know people hate that word lie.
Oh yeah.
You lie.
Yeah.
People hate that word. There could be another day it's just embellished, or what's another word?
Okay, I used to say that you elasticize.
No wonder why you hated being caught in those lies.
Yes, yes.
That word sounds convoluted.
And it was just a dressed up way
Mm-hmm.
of saying the same thing, because it's something about being considered a liar that most people have issues with, and they don't feel comfortable about it. It makes them feel bad, makes them feel like they're less than what they are striving to be, and it's hurtful.
Yeah.
But not keeping your word can be hurtful to the
You-
person that you broke your word to.
You mean they were more concerned about how they were feeling than the person that they first of all made feel the exact same way that you just got describing. To
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
They felt. It's always amazing me where people are more concerned about their feelings
Mm-hmm.
and then in turn hurt someone else's feeling and pay no attention to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I can tell. I can definitely understand why people say you're into your feeling. Definitely.
Uh-huh.
And that's the only feelings you're into.
Yeah.
That kind of self-centeredness,
Yeah.
you would think it would still be part of the word of immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
When you were young and kids did that. But you still have some adults who are still very
Yes.
immature,
Yes.
into their feelings.
Yes.
Someone else's feelings is not too concerned. In fact,
Right.
they'll be upset and uncomfortable if you speak about your feelings to
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
That they in turn made you feel bad about. They're like, how dare you make me feel? You just got these
Right.
feelings.
Right.
Yeah. You were the very person that made someone else
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
And occasionally that bad feeling, or when you have a bad feeling when somebody calls you a liar, sometimes it has to do with you don't want that person to think of you in that light.
Someone said hello. Sade, must be from another country.
Saidi.
Yeah, I love to know what country you're from. Hey, please
Yes.
post us what country you're from. It's a very unique name.
Beautiful
very
too.
unique
I love
name.
that.
So you're ending up with people who many times are comfortable but not necessarily telling the truth, just outright lying.
Mhm.
And when it happens in a relationship, of course, which is what we're talking about, in this consistent relationship, it really battles and tricks at and breaks down the structure, the foundation of what?
Of the relationship, the trust. Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
It breaks down. And sadly, many times it could be in certain areas, not the whole foundation
Yes.
of trust, but in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I'm going to use the usual customary, which would put us in arms as males. It could be, can I count on you? You got the trash on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'll take it out the trash. I'll take out the trash. And then Friday comes, sit in front of the TV,
Mm-hmm.
out with the boys,
Yeah.
doing something maybe in a hobby down in the basement.
Yes.
Anywhere it goes,
You end up taking out the trash the next morning.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it happens over and over again. And the excuses are, I forgot.
Yeah.
I was busy doing something else. Ice cream cone hit me in my face, and I just couldn't mess with it.
I was busy licking off the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm real sorry. I really am sorry about it, but I'll get it the next time.
Yes.
Really, I'll
Yeah.
get it the next time.
I didn't mean it. It's but yeah, it hurts both sides of the relationship, because you're breaking down trust between both of you.
Yes.
You're breaking down trust because you're not keeping your word with your partner, and that's hurtful to them. Then when they see you in this negative light and you don't want them to because of the love you have for them, that's hurtful to you.
Yeah.
So you are eroding relationship on both sides.
And talk about both sides. We talked about how your promise is really
A contract.
two-folds.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a contract,
Uh-huh.
okay, but it's two-folds. Most of us, when we think about our promises, we only think about it in one way, not knowing there are two folds, two pieces, two mates that make up a promise. Do you remember what those two are?
It's a request,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one,
Just said it the first time.
the contract.
No,
No.
the contract is over.
The whole. Yeah. Okay.
The person, the
No.
promise. I request.
I know. I
and you
know it's a
promise to
request.
do it.
Yes.
But
Request.
we
request
know
and
we know
promise.
why the other side of promise is a hard time for you to remember.
Yes.
I'm not saying,
Yes.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
but we know why,
Yes.
sister, why the other side of promise is a hard thing for you to remember.
Exactly. I can't even say that word right
I
now.
said the promise
The
side is the
request
request.
and the promise.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not like a movie. The request and the promise coming on the big Broadway. But seriously,
Yeah.
we did not really look at in detail that keeping your word has a twofold to it.
Mm-hmm.
You have the request that you're asking someone to do,
Mhm.
and they keeping the word on the other side. The person on the
Yeah.
other side has to, express it, bring it to
Mhm.
fruition through that thing called a promise.
Yes, and they have to be honest enough.
Yes.
If you're honest enough in the first place to say, I don't know if I can do that or not,
Mhm.
but I will try.
Mhm.
At least that way, your partner is understanding or expecting that I might have to do it myself,
Yeah.
or that it may go undone.
Mhm.
But if you say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that," then they're expecting you to do it, and and that goes on either side, no matter what. None of us are immune from that. We can make it a point to strive to be the one that keeps their word,
Mhm.
but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And we understand that, but when it's consistent,
It's not.
we have a problem.
It becomes more excuse and other
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
I am here to say that I think a lot of it has to do with when people look at keeping a word or their
Mhm.
word or someone else's word.
Yeah.
They only see it one way. Someone made a request.
Hmm.
How dare you? You don't know me.
Right.
I got something else to do. Why are you putting this pressure on me
Hmm.
in the first place? Or you're trying to get me to submit to you because you're telling me what to do. How's
Right,
that? I use
right.
the right word.
Yes.
Not knowing that in a relationship, promises are made. You made a promise the first time that you made that connection, whether it was marriage,
Mhm.
vow, or a long-term relationship where you spoke about commitment,
Mhm.
things that you were going
Yes.
to speak. And we make promises every day anyway, outside of
Right.
just an intimate relationship. But the bottom line is many times we don't see and understand that it is twofold. That we have to understand that you have your responsibility side
Mhm.
that matches with the request.
Mhm.
Not that it's only a request. I don't have to worry about the other side of following through on it.
Right.
No. Both of them are matched together. Both of them are connected together. Just like, hopefully, well, I would say if you're operating in the balance in a healthy relationship, then you two are operating in interdependence. You two are operating as a unit.
Yes.
And so one who speaks a request to the other one, they part of that unit, they part of that unity, they part of that us. Of course, it's going to respond with a follow through and a promise.
Right.
Otherwise, how are they connected together? The part that some people say, well, are you going to do this all the time? I've heard people say that before. Such a poor excuse of a statement
Yes.
that people will make, because most of the time they're not trying to follow through on the promise anyway.
Mhm.
So they'll take that extreme of where you're always asking me with a request to do something,
Yes.
and I'm so tired of it. When really you're not following through on the promise because you don't see that connection whatsoever in this foundational
Right.
match that builds trust in the first place.
Mhm.
So you're not really about trying to build trust in a relationship, which is why a balanced and healthy relationships are trying to help you build that trust that's not in that relationship. So therefore, it is and should behoove you that if I'm in a balanced, healthy relationship, I am about trying to follow through on my promise, and I am about trying to make a request.
Mhm.
That's right. I am about trying to make a request. It's not just one way.
Right,
Now,
right.
one person just makes the
Right.
request, the other one doesn't. Both don't.
Mhm.
But both are trying to make requests. Both are trying to follow through on promises.
Yes.
That's the connection as a unified unit together
Exactly.
who understand operating in interconnectivity. How are they going to build without that?
Right.
How are they going to flourish without that? How are they going to grow without that? You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean, and with that, what you triggered in what you were saying is, this is about building. This is about building trust. This is about making something work together, but you can't be sabotaging on either side. Whereas making a request that you know probably won't be able to be carried through, which some people do every once in a while when they're in the sabotage mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then you may be with a people pleaser who will try to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to be careful on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you are supporting one another
Yes.
in those requests and those promises. And I know this is kind of like off the beaten path,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of those things that I think people need to look at. Is this a request that is on the right path in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are, but every now and then, because of you broke your promise,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of trying to get even, that
Mhm.
type of thing. So you do it
How you getting even by just not doing it?
by
That's why you can do it again
by
and again?
asking by making a request that is difficult, or not
Why
necessarily,
would a
because
person do
it's
that if
because
the other person?
trust is sometimes you're
You're
trying
gonna-
their
you-
trust.
Why would you try the trust when they already proved many times before that they're just not going to be faithful? They're not going to be loyal.
Mhm.
They're not going to be really how can I say it? Focused on trying to complete or stay within the commitment of that promise and request in the first place. Maybe the person is just trying over and over again because they want to give them another try.
Yeah.
Want to give them another try.
Yeah, but exactly.
Mhm.
But it could be setting up a situation where I'm so sick of this that I'm pushing you to the point where I say, I told you so. I told you that you're not trustworthy. And now I'm proving you're not trustworthy. But what I'm saying
Are you
is,
speaking that for yourself now?
no. I don't-
Because I would say that person is a glutton for punishment.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Make sure that you're not trying to sabotage the relationship because of past hurts that you've had.
One thing's for sure. If you're the person who's not keeping the promise after the request,
Mhm.
you shouldn't have the boldness. You shouldn't have the consciousness of, is this person testing me, when you're not even standing up and making sure that you keep that promise in the first place.
Right.
If your thoughts are going past the not introspection of, I'm not even keeping my promises, so I won't concentrate on that and be more concerned about why they're doing this over and over again. You're like with Dr. Frazier, you're coming up with a wrong, a positive, negative.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly.
Because the whole purpose
Mhm.
is for a promise to be connected to a request, so that in a word can be kept and the trust can be created. And if you're questioning that in the first place, then I can't see you being very sincere about wanting to keep promises, because you're more concerned about why that person is making that request.
Now here's where this came from. This is what you triggered when in what you were talking. It all of a sudden came back to me. And there was this. I had this coworker several years ago, and it was really strange because it was a new marriage, and it was one of those things where she was all of a sudden uncomfortable in this marriage. She had been, they had both been single for a long time, had never been married. It was both of their first marriages, and they were both in their 40s. And she got uncomfortable after the fact, and then and everything was an issue. And so she said things like, I asked him to stop and get something from the store, and he said he would, and he didn't do it. And this went on, and every day it was another something. And she started making these unreasonable requests, like he needed to plan a vacation or something like that, and he was like, and she was talking about his schedule, But she was saying he needed to plan this, and it was kind of like, well, why don't you plan it? Because you have more time and more opportunity.
Mhm.
But what it came down to is she was in the situation where she was, because she was feeling uncomfortable, because he had not followed through on things a few times for
Mhm.
whatever reason, she was seeing this as her way to prove to herself that he was not ever going to be trustworthy, do it quickly, and get out of the marriage. And it was a sabotage thing. And that's what I'm saying. So she was making the request,
Yeah.
but she was trying to prove to herself that he was never going to be trustworthy.
Well, I would say to you that that's a reaping and sowing a principle.
Yeah.
That's a thing, a response that can come back from someone if you don't keep your promise. And that's something you should be concerned about. And should be probably more conscious about it. That if I'm not keeping my promise when someone make a request, they could be testing me.
Yes.
They could be in turn checking to see if I'm really a person who's worthy of loyalty. I'm a person that's really worthy of love and care and all that good stuff in a relationship.
Yes.
So that's a byproduct that can happen when you're not really serious about keeping your request. There are some consequences that come out using a reaping and sowing principle when you're not doing the balance thing, and energy's out of balance, and it's unhealthy. Okay. Now that person who's doing that testing that you're referring to, there's no doubt about it, that's not a very healthy,
not at all,
comfortable way for her to be doing, or him to be doing.
Well, it was her.
Well, her. Yeah. It wouldn't be a very comfortable way to do it, but yet I can't blame that person for doing it because of that. I think it would be more honest using the HOT principle, which is everybody, honest, open and transparent, that she would pretty much bring up. You did this over and over again, bridge statement. It's making me feel uncomfortable, and it's not building between us. And I don't necessarily believe, I don't believe at all that the reasons you come up are mostly something but excuses to me.
Yes.
We need to deal with this. We need to handle this. This can't continue on from that end. And here's some boundaries we need to take a look at from that end. I think that probably is, in fact, I know that's the more wise and balanced thing to do in that particular matter. There's no doubt about it. The thing that she's doing, it ends up being more of a game, a tit for tat.
Exactly. And it was just building on and building on. And basically what it was coming down to, it was just giving her reasons to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which is not going to have.
What does she want to do, by the way, since you?
She wanted to get out of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's using this as a way to get out.
Yeah, she was turning this against him into an excuse for her to get out of.
So when she was going to the divorce court, she was going to bring that up.
Yeah, she couldn't trust in his word and things like that. Because I believe that was the way she was going, because that's all she constantly talked about. He just lies all the time, and those were some of the things. And it was like.
That's interesting. And yeah, I mean, we don't talk about this much because we're trying to keep
exactly
in an area of balance,
and that's why I brought it up to make people realize that that's wrong.
The curve,
yes.
The curve of in these relationships. If you're in the survival mode, your curve that you're bouncing against in the survival mode when you're not in balance, like a curve in the street, you got curves on both sides. Some people ditches if you fall into them.
Yeah.
Divorce is a ditch.
Exactly.
It's like a ditch.
It's a definite ditch.
So
it's a crevice.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
So you have a divorce that could very much be a prospect to be looking for if you continue in this same cycle over and over again.
Right.
And don't seem to want to follow through on your requests. And at the same time, if you are using this as your ammunition for divorce,
right?
With those requests, anywhere it goes, you're not heading for a balanced, healthy relationship. You're not heading for us. You're pretty much separating all that, and going to destroy that kind of union in that bond. And we don't want to see you do that.
Right.
We're not about trying to have people do that whatsoever. We're talking about trying to add information and knowledge when it comes to bring you so that you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
So
And
let's
that's why I wanted to make sure that you
Mhm.
know why you're making the request that you're making.
So let's look at some of the where were we at before? Right here.
Yes.
Where was it
I
at?
think we were.
Hold on. Where we?
Let's see.
We were talking about ways of how to, excuse me, hold people to agreement when
Hold
it
them
comes to
accountable.
promises, because
Yeah.
of how strong and important that is in a relationship. And so, no, we're not going, since you brought this up, to basically, even as she brought up, to say, hey, if you're trying to hold that person accountable for it, to say, I told you so. Some of the stuff we're going to bring up, I couldn't say, I want you to put that in your toolbox
Yeah.
so that you could catch them. But one way is for sure, some of the stuff we're bringing up is going to help you if you're not clear. But some people are not clear about it. They believe, or honestly are naive, or actually will continue to let someone who doesn't follow through on the request do it over and over and over again,
Right.
and think that this must be love. This is how life is. I'm not perfect, they're not perfect, so this is okay. Not knowing that, no, it's really breaking up.
Yes.
No, it's not building trust. No, it's not healthy.
Disappointment
It's not
does not help
Yes,
when it's
not
constantly
healthy.
happening. So, and bridge statements are important. Keeping that, as you were talking about a minute ago, bridge statements are very important because it keeps you on an even keel, and you might even want to have sort of like a family meeting or something to hold a person responsible or accountable, and talk about it, but talk about it in such a way that it's a give and take in the conversation, so that it's not accusatory one way or the other. You never keep your word, or you're always asking for something, so that it's not like that.
So here's one of the ways that you could do, not to hold a person accountable, but we're going to talk about the other side. If you in turn find yourself in a position where you can't necessarily hold your word or keep your word, keep that commitment,
keep that promise.
Yep. Honoring a commitment. We can't keep every commitment that we make. Not everything is in our control.
Right.
But most can be honored. And see, I think the key thing here is most. I'll say it again.
Most.
Circle. M-O-S-T.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks, when they're in this area, they don't even think about most.
No.
They think of barely no time at all.
Yes. Or all the time.
Or
even.
if I just do it just a little bit.
There's
no thought on the person who doesn't keep the word that there is a most, because they're not doing as a most.
No.
They're not trying to be as a most.
And
there might be the person who's making the request who's concerned why there's not more most, or there is no most to it.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. But you can see, since we're talking about honoring your commitment, you are on the side, in this case, is the person that doesn't always keep your request.
Right.
And this way, you're trying to build what? Rapport, and trying to build trust. So you have to now go in the mindset of, I must mostly keep my promise.
Yeah.
Because it's about being honored. So
honorable.
And honorable. So I have to think about this most of the time, not half the time, not some of the time, not maybe. No, most of the time. It has to be built as being my character. This way, this person could really trust me in all things, not just some things, but in all things. Honor commitment means letting that person receive the promise known as soon as possible, and the commitment is not going to be at risk.
Right. And that makes perfect sense, because, and some of us, we put things off, thinking, I can still get it done. But the minute you know that it might not happen, you need to make sure that you make that statement. I'm running late, or this has come up, or, I might not be able to do what I said I was going to do. Like the time I was supposed to go to the post office and drop to UPS and drop some things off. And I got tied up in a meeting at work. First thing I did, I called you. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna make it today or not, because I knew that it was time stamped or whatever. I said, I'm in this meeting. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna do my best. which I must say was one of those stellar moments in my life as far as doing this. But then, as it turns out, I was able to do it. So when I got there, and it was still open, and I was able to drop it off. First thing I did is I called and said, "I got it. It's taken care of. It's on the way." So that would ease your mind, as well as, let you know that I was definitely in the mindset of getting this taken care of.
I think the important thing here is, I hate that.
Yeah. You said, I think the important thing here is, and I was really not sure where to go with that afterwards. And so,
I was actually texting someone to see if they're going to keep their promise.
Yeah.
Well, you came up with some bridge statements. I'm running late. Like me, I do computer stuff. I found a problem with your software. Upgrade's going to take a little bit longer than what I thought. We know most of the time at work to do those customer service statements of when we can't commit a promise or keep to a promise from a request we got from a boss, we got from the person coming over the counter, we got from one of our coworkers. We know how to go through the process of dealing with it when we can't keep that promise from a request. We do it every day because we want to keep that job. We want to make sure we got paid. We know that's part of connecting with the company and all that morale, hoopla and morale speech, whatever that is goes on. But when we come home, we take off that mask with easiness, and then we're around our mate and we're going, no, I don't have to.
You know what?
And in fact, I ain't going to do it all the time. And I'm doing that my job every day, all the time.
You know what just came to me as you were saying that, and it just popped into my head. The problem is, I think we have trouble. Anyway, we have trouble or have a problem separating, or by thinking that we need to separate formal actions from familial actions. And so,
what's familial?
Family.
Throwing us these big words up here. Come on,
the way you act within the family is more relaxed, and the way you deal with each other is more relaxed, and you forget that what you do on the job as far as keeping your word and everything is concerned is just as important when you get home. So that formalness needs to sometimes come home.
I think it should be in a balanced, healthy relationship. It's all the time.
Exactly.
Because we're talking about a relationship that is not necessarily your blood relationship. We already talked about before that when two people come together, they are coming out of different families.
Exactly.
And
different backgrounds,
and they didn't even grow up together whatsoever, but they're trying to merge together to create another lineage, another line of people that are coming out of them. But they first, in turn, have to understand they're making that us foundation to be able to start that on that tree, on that branch, which splits off. So therefore, you are should be creating your own set of rules, your own set of mind thoughts, your own belief systems within your parameter to be able to exist. And we're talking about a level of a balanced type of relationship. So you can't, in that, how can I say it, sentiment, say, I'm going to be more caring, I'm going to be more balanced, I'm going to be more responsive at this job than I am at home.
Yes.
When in turn you have a belief system, hopefully both of you do, because that's what the balance is, that says we are important. In fact, we are most important. We are an us. And I must treat each other with that kind of respect and kind of love, especially since we're best friends. So no, you're not going to take on the mask. I'll be honest with you. You would and should be putting on a mask at a job.
Exactly. And quite often,
and not the other way around.
And unfortunately, sometimes that is where the mask goes on, and what you get at home is who the person really is. And that's a sad thing to say.
I'm gonna run to my job because I know my wife is much better in how she acts at the job than she does at home.
So let's set up an office situation.
Sure. She'll bring coffee to the boss and some of her job husbands, and she'll even make sure she brings lunch. I think I'm gonna come there next week and hopefully get me good lunch.
There you go.
And I'll set the table. She see me go, "What are you doing?" "Well, I work here now." Of course, they say, I'm sadly to say, relationships in a good balance. They like, nah, I ain't working with her at the job. And she said, nah, I ain't working with him at the
Yes.
job either.
And that's the sad thing. A lot of couples don't want to see each other all day long. They just, it's like, well, so why are you in a relationship if you don't want to be with them all day?
You don't see each other with us. Because unless you're a handicap, unless you're stuck in a box, unless you're stuck on an island all alone, like on those shows, naked and all alone, then
Jesus, that's not a
well, some people might think
I know.
that depends how good you look.
I
But anyway,
know.
the bottom line is that is a oxymoron.
Mhm.
You explain that one. It's not a possibility.
No.
So these extremes is
Yes.
what we're referring to.
Yes.
We're talking about balance, not extremes. Anyway, let's get ready to go to commercial, and we will be right back. So keep on holding on, and we'll keep moving, and we keep our promise. We're going to a
We'll be
commercial,
back.
and we will be back.
And we are back.
We are
See,
back.
we kept our word.
No problem. Gave request. You gave us the request. Now we're back.
Yes.
Okay. What's another one that if you were having a hard time
Yes.
keeping commitment and promises, we talked about honoring your commitment. What's the word?
Honoring. Yeah.
We don't even think of our relationships. Excuse me. When you are in a balanced, healthy relationship and you're connected to one another as friends, you're going to honor that
Mhm.
connection.
Yeah.
You're going to respect that connection. Both.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, that honoring something of a higher energy calling in your connection,
Right.
you're going to operate that way. It kind of reminds me, let's say, many times with Barack Obama's wife, when they used to get on the phone, all kinds of things, said she was like this, she was man, all that stuff. And she would say, I'm going to take the what?
High road. When they go low, I go high.
That's honorable.
Yes.
That's honorable.
Yes.
Many times in our relationship, going back to what we talked about before, you are at your job, and I know I'm convicting some of you. I'm doing it on purpose. Some of you will be at your work, and you'll be more honorable. You'll take more higher ground when you know somebody wanted to beat their ass, or you wanted to cuss them out. But yet you'll be more honorable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
You will be more loyal, in so many words, to them. But at home, you take that mask off. You're like, man, you're fighting like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Call the bees and everything else.
Because sometimes you take that anger from the job or that disappointment. Exactly. That that behavior, that going over above and beyond to keep your word on the job, and the animosity built up there, you take it home and you take it out on the
Someone
one who's there with you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good job in itself. So in other words, you're not honoring your relationship.
Exactly.
Basically, you have no honor
Exactly.
in your relationship. When you think about it, you
Right.
have no honor. Okay, let's do a little commercial that has to do with us, which we haven't did. I'm gonna let you go ahead and start with this one.
Okay. In order to hear us, you can go online to wruu.org, and that is on Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 o'clock. That is Taking the Journey on WRUU every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 Eastern
How long have
Standard
we
Time.
been doing that one?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah,
That
we
was
started in
our
2019.
that was our first together thing. Well,
No.
on the radio, that is, because we were doing blog before that.
Yeah, Blog Talk
Yeah,
Radio.
Blog Talk Radio. We had about 100,000 more people calling us.
Yeah.
And we had quite a few writers back then. But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah. Let's look at also this one and let you know that we both are what? Coaches?
Yes, we are relationship coaches,
coaches.
and we would be more than happy to work with you in your partner in your relationship.
Mhm.
And
Don't tell you what to do. That's for psychologists, especially if you have some serious problems. But we're all about trying to guide you to your goals.
yes,
Using the balanced relationship
Mhm.
philosophy, if you
Yes.
want to say, of friendship,
Mhm.
and then through that friendship will operate in interconnectivity.
yes,
So if that's what you want to do, that's what you're trying to move to,
Mhm.
then you definitely want to get a hold of us because we can help you out in those different areas.
Yeah.
So that you and your mate, preferably you and your mate, to make that come to pass. If
Mhm.
it's an individual person who's trying to prepare for that
Mhm.
next relationship, and they need that kind of coaching to help you out, we'll make assessment of where you're at, and then from there find out where you want to go in the area of balance, healthy relationship, and then we can help you out one-on-one to go that direction.
Yes.
There's some people who are single, we felt that,
Yeah.
who want to take this information, they've took this information, and they want to use that to be able to help them bridge into a relationship. Usually, or hopefully, they're going through the process of making sure someone else is our show, or they're speaking to them to find out if your mate really is into balanced relationship.
Right.
Really is all about trying to be a real friend in your
Mhm.
relationship. That's very, very important before you
Right.
try to move it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely would say that. So it's one of those things that you need to
Email us.
Yeah.
TT.
TTJT at takingthejourney-together.com. Instagram is Instagram.com/takingj-together.
Taking the J.
Yes,
I
taking
like
the
you.
J.
You came up with it, taking the J. She's not talking about this JJ thing, but
Oh, come on.
she's talking about taking a
No,
J. Are you
for real?
prepared to take a J? Can you?
Yes, a journey, which is a wonderful J to take.
Okay.
Yeah, there was something else I was going to say, and I
No,
forgot
no.
what it was. So we can just let that one ride.
Okay.
So as we talk about the respect issue and all of that. So let's see how we go with that now that we know that this is a way of demonstrating respect, building trust and strengthening the relationship.
Oh, hold on for a second.
Yes.
People can subscribe to the channel, right?
Oh yeah.
Where can they subscribe to?
Our Black Media, subscribe at Our Black Media Network. And you can also what is it, through Cash App. You can go to YouTube and our Roku TV and subscribe at Our Black Media Network. And you can also subscribe to the channel. It's a Cash App, All Things Relevant, which I don't have up here
I
right
forgot
now.
to say to some people to ask about us being able to come and either do a short or a long workshop.
That's what I was going to say.
church,
Yes.
or at a home from, but at a hotel, a motel, or holiday. No, just call one person and bring your friend. But
Yeah, pretty
anyway,
much.
we would be glad to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And you get a chance to see us one-on-one, but you get a chance to bring your other friend or a person. And I guarantee you will have a good time. And I guarantee at the same time you'll be able to learn something and take something back with you. So
Yes.
if you're interested in that, it doesn't make a difference where you're at. You don't have to be locally in Savannah. I know some people watch this in other parts of the country, in the world. Hey, get a hold of us too at the same time. That's our email address. We'd be glad to talk with
Have
you about
principles will travel.
it. Exactly. We'll make this, be able to make it happen.
Yes.
Because we know it's important. And we know, especially with all the pressures in the world, got that big war going on with Israel and Palestine. We still got the politics that
and all
going
that.
on. There's so much separation.
Oh, it is.
And the idea of us trying to work together
Mhm.
at the level of relationship just seems to be out of pocket, especially when it seems for culturally diverse relationships.
Yes.
It seems like it's not going to happen. You might as well forget it. You might as well stay at odds. You might as well stay in our own tribes. It's just not going to work. But we got to make this work, folks. We got to make this happen. We got a next generation that's watching us. Plus, at the same time, we also know that the future is still going to move forward. We want to be part of it.
Right.
And we want to be part of it in a healthy, balanced way, right?
Mhm. Yes. And with that, I'm so glad that sometimes we have a mind meld. I was sitting here just like, what was I thinking? What was I about to say? What is it that I'm forgetting to say? And that was it. And when you said that, it came right back to me. I'm like, yes. So there it is. Because our workshops, we have fun workshops, but you go to our workshops and you have fun and you enjoy, but you also take something back with you that is unforgettable, and it's an experience that brings you closer.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
hopefully we'll be having another one in a month or so.
Let's go back to where we were at, holding someone accountable. Now we're on the other side.
Yes.
The side that has to do with the person making that request in the promises.
Yes.
Request, yes. The impact of a commitment breakdown occurs in three what places? What are the three places?
The task at hand suffers, the individual on the receiving end loses trust, and the relationship strength is compromised.
These are the important pieces of a strong, balanced relationship that are basically at risk.
Yes.
Those foundations are at risk. Task at hand suffers. We have tasks to do in our relationship.
Yes.
We have things to do.
Yes.
And if you're operating in a balanced, healthy relationship, you move from the independent side to the interdependent side. So you both are trying to create tasks. You're both trying to create tasks that are part of a project. You're both trying to create things that you're doing together, vacation and all that good stuff, that are going to take tasks to be able to do. And when you are, how can I say it, not operating in the way where the commitments are being kept, those tasks are going to what? Suffer. Usually ends up somebody's doing something what?
Exactly. And from there, animosity starts to come in, especially when it's again and again. And that's where the relationship strength is compromised. But at the same time, it's like, I can't trust you.
Well, look who I sent a link to and is saying something, because she can't make it this particular time, but we'd love to see her again.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry that she can't be here, but we do understand.
But she's here in spirit.
Yes, she is. And not only that, she is here in knowledge, because she's letting us know that she's here. And we appreciate that.
Yes, she is one of our guests, very important guests, who has a lot of wisdom to say, works with a lot of people too, who are in binding situations or in situations where they need help, relationship-wise or individual-wise, when it comes to dealing with life itself. So we're looking forward to come back as the same time we miss also to you, Dr. Frazier. We miss you too, Dr. Frazier. I know you're important and that you got important things that you do with your family, so we miss you. For being well missed. And we know you too keep your word, your promises. Yes. We do know that. And so the task at hand suffers. the
Mhm.
individual on the receiving end loses what?
Trust.
Loses trust.
Yes.
And when this happens over and over again, you will think that you're building
Mhm.
on a foundation of trust, because the other person who's making the request ends up what? Doing it
Doing it.
anyway.
Yes.
That is just not true at all.
It is not. It is not, and it's painful, and it's really disheartening, because you don't like to be in that position, because it also puts you to a place where you don't know whether you're going or coming. And sometimes you look at yourself of, am I the one that is wrong here? So you start doubting yourself
Mhm.
sometimes. So there's a lot of negativity that comes into a relationship on a personal level to the person making the request, when the other person does not follow through.
Exactly. And the relationship strength is then what? Compromise. See, again, when we're talking about operating that us principle, when we're talking about keeping you, when you're talking about the promise, the request and the
Mhm.
promises being one, we're talking about in this case strength.
Yes.
It builds strength in that relationship.
Mhm.
What do you use strength for in a relationship? If you have to ask, what do you use strength for in a relationship, or what strength is in a relationship, you are not trying to want to operate. You are not trying to want to move in a balanced, healthy relationship.
Right.
You really don't. And of course, you got a right to stay in any other relationship that you want, no doubt about it. But real strength, real honor comes from you building your relationship
Mhm.
by making sure that the promises that are given to you out of request, you follow through on it, and that you also make requests because you know that other person you can trust will what?
Follow through.
Follow through on it.
Yes.
That's that strength. That's that bounding. How else, when it comes to interconnectivity, are you going to be able to build?
Mhm.
How else are you? What interconnectivity is all about, doing something more than what you could do by yourself.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do something more that you can do by yourself if you're not keeping promises.
Right.
If you're not, in turn, doing any request, and you're doing it all for yourself. Yeah, I'm talking for those out there who are doing everything themselves in that relationship, because the requests are being broken because the other end of promises are not being made. You're not building the strength in your relationship. You're not building a healthy relationship. You are doing everything yourself, and quite frankly, you're in a codependent relationship. And when times and trouble comes, especially times like you give a description of a hurricane, or how about I give you the little Aesop fable one? Okay, you'll be like the little piggies in that house. The big bad wolf of life is going to come and huff and puff. It's going to blow your relationship
down. Yes.
because
Yes.
there is no trust.
And there's
there is
no
no honor.
there's no
That's what
strong
it is.
foundation.
Exactly.
There's nothing
Exactly.
keeping it together.
And today, I'd be concerned with how today is.
Yes.
Really. And I don't think in the next couple of months, it's going to get any better. Now, some people will say that. I don't see that. I know statistically wise, relationships when it comes to marriage are at a all-time high of breakup.
Yes.
They're just rolling out of COVID that had a very high breakup time of divorce.
Yes.
Especially when they could not really make it together in the house because none of the principles that we are talking about was even at it.
Exactly.
And they were definitely needed during those times.
And it was one of those situations where people and couples realized, we don't have a friendship here.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are, because maybe we were friends before, but we have drifted apart because we didn't do anything to shore that up and make that a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we're finding out that part of that has to do with trust, trusting you to be there when you need to be, trusting you to say what you need to say and following through on it, trusting that you're going to put the relationship first, trusting, in so many things that builds that friendship and that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It had been lost.
Exactly.
And so when COVID hit, there was nothing, COVID was the big bad wolf for those relationships.
Exactly.
And then there were others who found that time to build together, like the one couple that we were coaching that took that time. They were going through a kind of rough patch, and they took that time and we coached them, every week we were having a Zoom meeting with them, and they are very strong now.
We're getting to our end of time. We didn't get finished of things that could help you out on the request side and on the promise side when it comes to keeping your word. We'll be talking about next. Here's what you could do when someone has broken a commitment made to you. We're going to talk about some of the things that you could do.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about slapping them. We're not talking about here. We're not talking about cussing them out
Or leaving them.
We are going to talk about some real possible things that can help you
Yes.
out whenever someone has broken the promise. And we're talking about not one time. We're talking about consistently. Because we talked about before that when it comes to keeping your promise and the request side, it is something that you do mostly all the time. Not sometimes. I'll say it again. Mostly, most of the time.
Yeah.
Not just some of the time. Okay?
Yeah.
So in a balanced relationship, you are doing this, what again?
Most of the time.
Because that's the foundation that you need to keep it balanced.
Yes. Because no relationship is always or never. The balance is in the middle with most.
Well, yeah, because you have to have the foundation to balance it.
Yes.
In this particular case, the foundation of trust is a foundation in a balanced relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's definitely got to be most of the time in keeping your word.
Definitely.
Oh, heck yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Anyway, we got about 1 minute left from that end. We'd love to start having some people have questions, and then we can answer some of your questions. I think next time we'll do that. We'll put questions out. If people had some questions, they can go ahead and give us some questions, especially when we get our panel back, and we're going to answer some questions.
Yes, and even at that, if you have some questions, you can send them to us at TTJT at takingthejourney.
Oh, no, that's what the show that we're doing. Here it is.
TTJT at takingthejourney-together.com. Send us an email, or you can, go to our chat page and put something in there. But you can contact us, and we'll have the questions, and we will read them on the show and answer and discuss it.
Definitely. Well, you got anything you want to say before we get off the air and let everybody be blessed and have taken the journey time together? Maybe.
I think you just said it perfectly.
I did. You think so?
I do.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you positive? Sure.
Yes.
You're really sure? Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
like this.